Or, oh, there we go. Now we're official. Okay, we'd like to go ahead and start our meeting this evening with a prayer and a pledge. And I've asked Councilmember Colin Erickson to offer the invocation for us, after which I've asked Councilmember David Reeser to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Councilmember Erickson.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're so thankful for the opportunity to be able to meet here this evening. We're thankful for the many blessings we have and enjoy in this great country. Father, we are so thankful for the blessings of being in this city and the blessings of this community and the friends and family we have here. Father, we are thankful for the freedom we have, and we ask the blessing be upon our armed forces and especially the law enforcement back in Pennsylvania, the loss there. Please bless our first responders and everybody that works together to make it safe and continue to provide our freedom that we have. Father, we ask a blessing be upon this community at this time and the rest of the communities in the country, that we may come together and work together and be able to communicate and do the things we need to strengthen us in a way we should be. Father, we ask you please be with us this evening. Help us to be able to work things through and be able to communicate and be able to talk things and do the best we can to make good decisions. Please bless the citizens and throughout this area and the college students that just came in, that they may be blessed and we may prosper in our doings. Please be with us, we ask, and say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. You can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And again, happy to have you all here. I usually try to get in here a little quicker, but it's been a busy day and a lot going on. Rexburg is a growing city and a lot of things going on. And so I had meetings and I was out fixing actually a sprinkler system over at Eagle Park just before I got here. So this is a job that entails a lot of different facets, but it's fun and enjoyable and it's great. So I would like to just notice how many young folks we have here with us tonight. If you're here from Madison High School or Sugar, either one, raise your hand, please. Look at that. We get a lot. Must have a government assignment due tomorrow, huh? Well, good. You know what? We're glad to have you with us here tonight. We appreciate that and glad that you're here and hope that you learn something about city government. So I'll put in a plug too for, we do have a Mayor's Youth Advisory Board that is taking applications. I think we're up to 35, 36 members now, and they have a lot of fun doing service projects and different things around the city. So if any of you would be so inclined to join up with that group, you can contact this fine lady right down here at the end, or you can go online, right? Would they just go on our website and find Mayor's Youth Advisory Board? Rexburg.org, click on the mayor tab, and there's a thing, there's a application form there where you can fill it out and actually join the Mayor's Youth Advisory Board. So that would be great if you would like to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and start with our items on the agenda here. Number 2 on the agenda is the roll call of our council members. So let's go ahead with that. Mary, please.
Councilmember Johnson. Here. Councilmember Chambers.
Here.
Councilmember Colin Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Eric Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Reeser.
Here.
Council President Walker.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a full council tonight. All right, we have a presentation on the agenda. Oh, wait, sorry. Number 3 is we do need to amend the agenda as per Idaho State Statute 74-2044B. And this amendment is to include item 4, the IRWA certificate presentation, and amending item 823, which is to surplus an additional iPad Generation 7. I need a motion at this time to amend the agenda as stated. Is there such a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I shall move that we amend the agenda.
All right, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Chambers. Any discussion on that on that item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will go ahead and amend the agenda as stated. All right, item number 4 is a presentation, which will be the recognition and certificate of completion of the Idaho Rural Water Association apprenticeship program for one of our wastewater employees, Carson Chittister. So go ahead and tell us about this, if you would, please, and maybe help state your name and who you represent.
Okay, so I'm Jake Slater. I'm from Idaho Rural Water Association. We're a nonprofit that offers training and technical assistance.
Excuse me, just one second. Can we turn that mic on? Or can you flip that on? So that our happenings here are all recorded, so it makes it a lot easier for the recording to be able to take place.
See it on.
Yeah, if you can just, you know what?
Alright, so Carson Chittister completed the wastewater systems operations specialist class 2 track within the apprenticeship program at IRWA. And I'd like him to come on up here along with his mentor, Riker, to receive this certificate, these coins, and actually I can give you one. And 2 separate hats. You guys can fight over which kind you like.
I'd say give Carson first choice, just because he's the honoree here, but we do appreciate Riker for being his mentor. That's important. Okay.
I was hoping if we could get a photo with the council, that'd be all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on up here and we'll just stand up and kind of gather up together here in the background. That's the way we do best, is in the background. So you can come up here. Kind of squeeze in here. Yeah, maybe move those chairs back. Kind of situate yourself so that, can you see all of us? Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Yeah. He completed 288 hours of online training and 4,000 hours of on-the-job training, all while maintaining full-time job and supporting your guys' system. He's been a fantastic apprentice.
Wow, 288 hours. That's more than a year of high school, isn't it? I know, I guess not. I guess it wouldn't be, but
I'm not sure.
Carson, do you want to say any words?
Just appreciate the opportunity I had, and Jake is training, and Riker for helping me out.
Okay, how about you, Riker? Do you want to say anything?
I got my apprenticeship, same as Carson here, probably about a year or 2 ago. I don't remember exactly, but Carson's come a long ways. He's learned a lot. And, I'm even learning from him, so.
Good
he's
deal.
doing a great job, so.
All right, thank you. Let's give all 3 of these guys a gentleman. Thank you for being here. We appreciate that. And congratulations, Carson. Good job. And thank you, Riker, for mentoring him along. That's important too. All right, let's go ahead and move to item number 5, which is a presentation about the old pump house property, proposal to repurpose it into a Rexburg History Visitor Center by Mr. Doug Ladle. So just to kind of, oh, well, he's got pictures and everything here for it. So I think we all know what building we're talking about, don't we? Up here on the corner of 2nd East and 2nd South or 1st South? First South, yeah.
It's a good picture to start with, Mayor. If you look closely, Mayor Merrill is the 3rd one from the right.
I'm not that old, Doug. I'm not quite that old.
Councilman Erickson, 4th from the right.
Oh, maybe I am.
Michael Walker, 5th. The rest of you are too young. And I didn't take that picture, so I can't guarantee that's the ones. But yeah, this property is on the 2nd East, 1st South corner. It's called the Pump House. And I like to talk about the history of that facility, first of all. See if I can get the right arrows to come through here. I'll just roll this. It's built in 1906. Inside was a well 80 feet deep, drilled through lava. A 50 horsepower mortar lifted water 5 blocks up the hill to a reservoir, 779,000 gallon reservoir, to service 19 blocks of then almost all of Rexburg. This pump house was built of the same stone as the tabernacle. You probably recognize that. The well and the pump was discontinued in 1958. A newer system, of course, was built higher on the hill, and we, of course, now have this wonderful tower and other systems, but the pump house still stands. But it's on the same lot where we have the first church meeting house. And notice the date, November of 1883. They moved in and platted the properties of Rexburg in March of 1883. So within 5 months, they began to go ahead and start meeting in that church meeting house. And the first school is a month later in 1883. It's on the same lot as the pump house. A memorial plaque was placed on this site by the DUP, Daughters of Utah Pioneers, in 1990. It's hard to read in that slide, but it's very moving. And they did this in 1990, and it's a memorial to that site being such a historical location for Rexburg. This is what it currently looks like. There's an extension garage been built to the west, and then quite a large grassy area before the next home on the far left there. This is now a backside and a east side view. This is an interior part, and I don't have more slides, sadly, but it's right now being used for surplus items and for lawn care items, like it's being used by, you can see there. Now, to the case in point today, a vacuum now exists with the recent loss of the Rexburg Museum and the Historical Society's office. It was, of course, in the tabernacle on the north wall, and that vacuum has a problem, or creates a problem. There's now no site for any of Lewis Clemens's publications. You all know Lewis. He's the iconic historian for the entire valley, and especially Rexburg. For example, he is responsible for over 100 editions of the Snake River Echoes. I'm going to share about those echoes and other publications in just a moment. 6 volumes of Businesses in Rexburg. 2 volumes of Pioneers and Interesting People. So I have brought up here some examples of what we're talking about. Teton Flood Revisited. This will be a great thing. Of course, Jed, as he organizes the upcoming Flood 50 commemoration coming up. History of Businesses of Rexburg, Volume 1. I'm getting out of space here, so let me be careful what I'm doing here. These are the Snake River Echoes. 35 volumes, and each volume has 2 or 3 issues, or 4 sometimes. This one happens to be a great issue on the different counties and how they were formed. This Voices of the Past, Volume 3. These are the recordings by Harold Forbush that he interviewed patrons of Rexburg about their historical stories. And Lewis and the Historical Society made sure these were published, or now being prepared and available for us. Pioneers and Interesting People, A through D. Some of you are not quite old enough to be in this article, but there's some people that you'd all recognize as the real heritage people of Rexburg. The Echoes, volumes 1 through 35 or 25. This is an index. I went through all the issues of the Echoes and typed up a table of contents, 28 pages, single spaced, of items, which from A to Z, from Rexburg's history and a lot of the Upper Snake River Valley. Okay, I'm going to share in a minute just something about those two particular documents. So these publications, and they're now housed, by the way, in the basement of the school district building temporarily, reboxed, organized, and now very, very well staffed or organized to be available for people to study and look at too. They were headed for the storage unit, as you might know, with the other artifacts for the museum, but we rescued them out. So we didn't want Lewis's legacy, all his historical writings, to be gone. So we now have them available for us. Many of these things are being put online also through the efforts of Jamie Patton up at the university, and we're thankful for that. But a second problem with this vacuum of a historical society and museum, no site for pictures. We actually have 2,300 pictures that are now being updated and being digitized with descriptions available for people to review. No place to really organize tours. That used to be the great work of Alicia, and thank goodness she's here. She can do this better than I could, but we just don't have a way to organize tours for Rexburg and Main Street or to answer questions about the history of Rexburg. So something was happening when we lost that museum and the Society's office. No site for residents or youth, BYU Idaho students or visitors to physically learn about Rexburg and explore Rexburg's history. That's what was lost as we've transitioned, and it's a great thing happening with the museum and with the tabernacle, but we've lost something along the way. So tonight I'd like to propose this idea. We take the pump house property and repurpose it to become the Rexburg History Visitors Center. Advantages, it could be a standalone public building. There could be some ideas of how to maybe have a visitor center in City Hall in one of those offices down the hallway from the main doors. But I don't know how many tourists will be walking through City Hall to get to a visitor center in the office complex, or how many student groups could come by there, or how many people are coming into a City Hall area or something like that. It's on a historic location. I can see how it'd be volunteer staffed. We got Historical Society members, SUP members, DUP members, all of us senior citizens be glad to go ahead and spend some hours there to staff that. It'd only be a visitor center. It's not going to be a museum or artifacts, but a place of information and organizing Rexburg's history, and a ground zero for Rexburg's history, I think is a good way to call it. If you want to learn about Rexburg's history, go there. For example, just in the last week or two, here's some examples of what people are seeking for history. Kevin Anderson, a good friend of mine. I said, Kevin, do you have any interest in Rexburg's history? Nah, not really. Well, where'd your grandparents move into? Well, my great-grandparent in 1884, a year after Rexburg was started, moved to Thornton. So I went into Snake River Echoes, volume 34, verse number 1. And there's this article about Samuel Anderson. His father was Neil Anderson, Kevin Anderson's great-great-grandfather. So Kevin all of a sudden now has history of Thornton we didn't have access to before. I just received this email request. Let me see if I can find the right place I need to be to here. My name is Allison Pincock. I'm just starting to research my Pincock family and learned that they're first settlers of the Upper Teton Valley area. James Henry and Elizabeth Carter Pincock. I live in Boise. Is there any resources that I can maybe get from the museum or Historical Society? Snake River Echoes, Volume 2, Issue 2, is a history of Teton Valley. There you go. It's available because we know where to find it. It's been prepared by Lewis Clements. This man, Andy Wagner, any information on the history of Conoco Oil in Rexburg? Yeah, Businesses in Rexburg, Volume 6 is right there. Brother Erickson, your auto business is probably listed there in one of those volumes too. So we have access to those things. The Pump House, how do I get my information? Actually, it came out of Volume 1, pages 89 to 91. It's just a great resource. If you know what's there and where to look, you'll find all those great things. So we're proposing once again that this become a Rexburg History Visitor Center. The next steps, we'd appreciate the council considering removing this property from the surplus property status. There's a reason why it was moved to that status, and I can see where it could be an income producing tax revenue for you. But much might be lost, and maybe there's a better purpose for this particular property. We as a society and SUP and DUP members and on board with this proposal is the mayor's Rexburg Historical Preservation Commission and the Building Preservation Commission and the Idaho State Historical Society. I've been in contact with them, and they're also glad to see this as an idea for how to create a ground zero for Rexburg's history. So you're the yellow part up there as the city council, and that's kind of like what we'd like to consider you doing. We need to find some funding for this remodel. There's access to grants. These were given to me, ideas from the Idaho Historical Society. And we just start checking our community for families and institutions and businesses who'd like to help us remodel and establish that as a visitor center. And here's my closing comment. The Pump House, a great title, once lifted clear and sparkling water from an underground reservoir to the surface for our new city. Let's use this site now to lift Rexburg's significant history to the surface also for a thirsty generation. So that's our proposal. And we had hoped that the council would review our proposal and find it worthwhile to go ahead and repurpose that property so we can use it for a historical society over the coming generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ladle. We appreciate your effort on that and your efforts to head up the Historical Society. Just kind of an update on that. We had declared that as surplus property, but we have since then discovered that we can't find any historical record or paperwork that it belongs actually to the city, right? Yeah, can't find the deed. So as far as
Deed's in our property, so we'll go ahead and let you know about this later on then, huh? I don't know where it's at.
yeah, that'd be fine. No, as far as we can tell, it still belongs to the Rexburg First Ward. And so that's kind of what we found out. But we're still working on that, trying to figure out, if there's some place that has a deed recorded and things like that. So, but I like your proposal. And of course, as with anything else, it always comes down to how would we fund this usually. But I like the fact that you've come up with some suggestions on that as well. So I think it's worthy of further discussion and commentary. I'll ask the council to weigh in on what your thoughts are, if you have any, or whatever you're thinking. Does anyone have any comments about that? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I really appreciate that information. I think that's a great idea. So I hope we, in the near future, we talk about it. So.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Mayor, excuse me, I too like the idea. What would it take to remove that from surplus status?
I think we'd probably just have to put it on the agenda and I don't know if we can surplus it if we don't own it actually. So yeah. So
Is our decision null and void?
we may have acted illegally, but we'll have to do what we can to
If we could get that deed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we will work on that, see if we can figure out any, we actually did, Matt, didn't we contact the church? We're kind of waiting to hear back from them to see if they'll give us squatters' rights on it or whatever. We've been using it for over 50 years, so we assumed that it was ours. But yeah, we got it appraised, have an appraised value on it too. So anyway, there's a lot of kind of moving parts on that, but we can certainly have some more conversation about it and try to figure out what's the best thing to do and the best way to go about it. It does need a fair amount of renovation. Some of the when we went up there and looked at it, some of the mortar is coming loose in between the blocks and stuff, and we had that done on the tabernacle, and that was $800,000 to do that. So it's not cheap to renovate and fix up these old buildings. But on the other hand, it's a lot of history.
Alicia's recommendation of this is the actual building that's the rock part. We probably won't have that be a public area. We'll probably rope it off and people can see the pump area inside. That can become a display, like a typical bedroom in a historical house is roped off. And our transactions will be in the area that's right to the west in that garage area. Remodel, of course, so it's a nice visitor center, but we probably not need to be in the less foundational part of the
Yeah.
rock building.
Okay. Well, we can certainly take a look at that and have some more conversations about it and see what we feel like is the best way to go. So yeah, let's, I mean, it may be worthy of, taking another field trip and going up there and go inside and kind of look around and, just see what all is there and make sure we understand the whole thing. So.
Look at and just to evaluate before we jump further into selling or surplus, even though it's not ours. So I think it's something definitely a good idea to look at and bring up and definitely discuss.
Okay.
I like the field trip idea.
Well, Deborah, let's schedule maybe next week a day when whoever might be interested, try to find a day when or maybe early evening or something after work, so that if any of those who would like to can take a little tour, and be sure and invite Mr. Ladle and anybody else who would have an interest in it, I guess. So, okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Ladle. All right, let's move on to item number 6. This is the time for public comment. This is for items that are not on the agenda. If you have something that you'd like to make us aware of, we would ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address, and let us know what you would like us to know. Is there anyone that would like to make any comments at this time? Yes, go ahead. Come on up.
My name is Keith Wildman. I live at 230 Harvard Avenue. I know we've discussed this on the agenda, but I think I want to address the importance of Rexburg having a visitor center in this area. We have a lot of history in this area, and I hate to see that be relegated to a hallway or whatever in City Hall. I think we ought to have a visitor center where not only the community can access it, but also a lot of our visitors. My wife works part-time at a vintage antique store here on Main Street. And I can't remember how many times she's come home and told me stories about people that's come into the store. A lot of them from out of state or wherever being drawn through this area, of course, of our other attractions like Yellowstone, things like that. But also she says stories about how they are drawn to this area. Some of them even came here and bought homes and stuff. Don't know why, other than the quality of life in this area. And there's many stories she tells me like that. And I think we ought to take the opportunity of enjoying our history with them. My uncle was Dwayne Wilding, which he was a business owner, in the sports shop down here on College Avenue. And I think he was one of the instrumental people to get the flood museum built. I think to see all of his work and things just be put in storage because we don't have places to put the artifacts that we already have. I think we ought to look at our history with the importance with a tool that we can use to draw people into this area.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Yeah. And just kind of just for everybody's information, we have at one time we did talk about just trying to move stuff, especially while the tabernacle is under construction, under renovation, I guess you'd say, moving a lot of the things into the lobby here and the hallway. But since then, this whole side of the building, which is pretty sizable, we've vacated the Economic Development Department, what we called the hatchery, out of there. And the museum has moved into there. So, and you're welcome to, after this meeting, if I don't know, we could probably get that door open if you want to go over there and just kind of, well, Alicia's, no, are you saying yes, no? It's not ready? Okay, never mind, it's not ready. But just for your information, that is a pretty big space over there that we're trying to move things into so that we at least have a place to have things on display and those kind of things. Not with the idea that that would be totally permanent, but at least it gives us a place where we can have different artifacts and things and maybe even changeable displays and things so that we've got a place. And then in the further out future, I mean, this might be a possibility. We're hoping someday, and this is probably 8 to 10 years in the future, to maybe sell this building and build a new city county administration building so that it's a place where citizens can go to take care of their business and all kind of in one place. And this is just some things that we've been talking about to try to, be more efficient as a government service entity in the future. But so, that's a possibility that there could be space there too. But if this works, I don't know, I kind of like this idea as has been mentioned by other council members, because it is a historic site. And that would be kind of cool, actually. So there's a lot of different things to talk about and consider. But Mr. Wilding, your point is well taken. I think, and Alicia's been working hard to preserve Mr. Clements's work and all of the things that a lot of other people have done to preserve our history, and we need to take care of that. So, yes.
I know the pump house might not be a viable option, but I think we ought to have a concerted effort to find someplace that we can have a historic museum and a visitor center.
Yeah. In
one way or another. There are some other buildings around that I think could be looked into also.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, and if you've got ideas for things like that, we're always open. It's always comes down to, who owns it? What are they willing to do with it? What are the costs involved? All of those things are a lot of the things that we have to look at, and where does the budget come from to do all that stuff? But it is important, and I think it's something that we need to figure out. I like the idea that Mr. Ladle mentioned about being able to have some volunteer help in the museum and things, because some of the museums I've gone to, and even really small communities like Hagerman, I went to their little museum, and it was staffed by volunteers that came in, and their historical society was in charge of it, and they pretty much ran the place, and they took donations and all that kind of thing. So I think something like that would be good to try to figure out how that would all work. So anyway, I've talked enough. Is there any other comments or questions or anything from council? Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I agree 100%. We recently took a road trip over into Oregon and down the Oregon coast, and every town that we went into, we looked for a visitor center because we wanted to see what there was that we could do, whether there were hiking trails or there were, this or that. And so I think we should have a good visitor center here in Rexburg that helps. And we have 25,000 kids come in here every year, and they're always looking for something. And I think it would be very useful and very helpful for them and for all the tourists that come through here every summer. So
Yeah. And there are, wow, the sun is getting down to where it's really doing a number on me there. And actually, just for everybody's information, Jed was working on trying to make the Romance Theater kind of that, a visitor center where people could come and find information and things. And then the Chamber of Commerce also has a little spot in the foyer of their building where they have a lot of information about the area and things like that. But those are all kind of just part way efforts. So I think it would be helpful to have maybe some place that is designated as the Rexburg Area Visitor Center, and it's got all of the information there that people would need and that kind of a thing. And I don't know, to have it on a historical site is I think it's kind of a cool thing, but that's just me. Okay, let's move on to item number, oh wait.
I think there was
Yes.
one more.
Oh, is there another comment? Oh, come on up. Come on up, state your name and address, please.
What?
Come up, your name and your address.
Can you say my
just-
full name?
Yes, please, for the record.
Grant Williams. And this is 1005 W Drive.
Okay, thank you.
So if I say my school. though,
Yes, that'd be great.
I think I have an issue with my school though. It's my issue is that my issue with the school though is that if I'm wrong, I hope I'm not wrong. If we should have should we have more sports warehouses, like a swimming one, so we can use it for swimmers to have their swimmings?
Oh, like an indoor swimming pool?
Yeah, so it can be held there sometimes,
Oh,
or just so that I have problems.
yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. And actually, we are working on, just for your information, these are all things that are kind of in the future and we're planning, but it takes a lot of planning and forward thinking to do a lot of these things. But we are looking at trying to develop an area out kind of maybe by the high school or somewhere that's kind of a sports complex. And hopefully included in that would be what they call a natatorium, which is an indoor swimming pool complex for sports, for indoor swimming year round, and for high school swimming teams, to be able to host tournaments and things like that. So it is on our minds, and we're thinking about that and trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. And just like the historical center, it takes a lot of money, and so we're trying to figure out if we had lots of money, we could do all kinds of cool things. But we always have to. That big bad word budget, is something that always rears its head. So we have to try to figure out how to pay for things. But it is something that we're thinking of. So thank you. Appreciate your comment. Yes, sir. One more. Well, maybe more than one more, but at least one more.
Joe LaClaw, live out in Teton, but I have a lot of action here in town with the VFW number 3.
And Joseph, if I'm not mistaken, you were a reporter for the Standard Journal in your previous life. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
And emeritus status.
Emeritus, right?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd just like to, ditto what Doug has presented and make a plea not to be too fast with the wrecking ball. Recently, they tore down the Fun Farm Bridge just north of the Law Family Farm. And my brothers and I went up and looked at the foundation of the bridge, and we determined that it's done in the same pattern as the old farmhouse on the estate. And of course, that had to give way when the new bridge is being put in place. But there's something to be said for, even a homely building like the pump house. And so to make it plea that maybe just the historical aspect of that, as well as the usefulness of it as a center. I've had a chance with the airports to travel the world a little bit, and in Italy, and they don't use the wrecking ball much. In Korea, they go back clear to the Silla dynasty, so maybe we can preserve just something, a little bit of history, the masonry, the way they used to do it. Thanks for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lau. We appreciate that. Okay, anyone else who would like to speak to us for anything that's not on the agenda? Or it's kind of is on the agenda, but not really. Okay, all right. If there are no others, we will go ahead and move forward. Item number 7, we have our committee reports. And let's go ahead and start down here on the right end with Councilmember Colin Erickson with our committee reports.
Reference to Airport Board, they did not meet this last month. The next scheduled meeting is coming up in October. The golf board did meet. We've had a great year out to their both courses. It continued to increase over last year. They've been working on, I want to say thatching all the whole golf course. They're on the front 9 right now, which kind of puts a kink into playing out there, but it definitely looks better once you get done. And there's a lot of dead grass they've moved off, but they continue to improve our courses, and everybody knows about them and they're here. So we're pleased with that. And then on the school board, I was not able to attend that board meeting. I was out of town at that time, so I'll try to attend next time.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
So my committees haven't met since our last meeting, but I did have one question. So I get contacted about the service periodically, people looking for service
Yeah.
projects. And I'm really thankful for that because we have, all these residents who are willing to serve. But the last one, I was just wondering if we could get like a list somehow. I don't know who in the city I would talk to about having a list of things that maybe are available, because we waited so long, we lost one of the groups and they found a different service project because I couldn't find anyone to help me get one together. So I don't know
Wait,
if we
was
had
that the
some,
group of 200?
well, it was
Or-
the one I wrote it on, I contacted you, but we missed that opportunity. So if we had like
Oh,
a,
did? Because I thought we
this
had
was a
project.
different one, they found a different service.
Oh,
So if we had them beforehand, I don't know who, I don't know if we could even do it in our Parks Committee group, or
Yeah, I
we had
thought
them
they
ready to
were-
pull.
I thought we were still on with that because we were just talking the other day about a project down at Eagle Park to have.
Oh, I think these are 2 separate ones because I got contacted by a different group than the one that you had already been contacted by, and they already did theirs.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. No, we had the group that did the Veterans Memorial
oh, nice.
and that, but then you were talking about the other group of about 200 people. And so that's when I was thinking they want to do something. I thought you said later in September, so we were thinking we could have them do it. But is that the group you're
Yeah,
saying has
and
already?
yeah, they did it last week.
Oh, okay.
We missed it. So
Okay.
anyway, if we just had like some that were ready, I don't know how we could do that, but I was thinking it might be nice to just have some that we know are ready to go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think in the Parks Committee meeting would probably be a great place to kind of put on your thinking caps and come up with just a list there, because there's all kinds of stuff in
Yeah.
the parks. And And some of them might be bigger projects and some of them smaller, so that way you could kind of match them up with the size groups. I think that'd be a great idea.
Okay, so maybe if you, I don't know if you want to tell John Lewis or,
I'll mention that to
Okay.
John, yeah, and
Thank you.
maybe, yeah. He's gone right this week, but I'll put it on my list of things to mention to him when he gets back.
Mayor, if you would mention that the chief, police over there too, they may go out to the range or down to the animal shelter. That'd be some good service hours.
To do what now?
To go out the range and maybe help clean up out there.
Oh, at the range.
And then the animal shelter. They're always looking for service down there.
Okay, I'll just make some notes here. Animal shelter. Okay. List of service projects. Okay, all right. Get those notes. All right, anything else, Councilmember Johnson?
Thank you.
Council President Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Mayor's Youth Advisory Board met 2 weeks ago on Thursday. Had a good meeting, had a kickoff meeting, had 26, I think, show up for that meeting. And we got more that signed up since then. So they meet tomorrow, not tomorrow at 4 o'clock in this building, right here in this room. And they're going to tie blankets for the Crisis Center, which is a great service project. So they'll be helping the Shop at the Cop also and some other things with Homestead. And so anyway, you high school kids that want some good service hours, it looks good on the resume for service. There's Youth Advisory Board is a good place to start. So
And do I understand that there's always some treats involved in that too?
every meeting, guaranteed. So, and then the ADA board has not met.
Okay. All right, thank you. Councilmember Chambers.
Well, my apologies, but with my new work, I've not been to many committee meetings, so I have nothing to report.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councilmember Eric Erickson.
Again, there's the Parks and Trails Committee has not met, but just a couple of updates on a couple of things the council might be interested in. I think the bids are out on what's the name of that park? The new park,
Teton River Park.
the Teton River Park.
Yeah.
Bids are out. They should be back in this week, I think. So we'll see what happens there. Where the bids come in. So it's a little bit of progress there. But the news for pickleball is not so good. The company that we hoped would be here to do the pickleball is kind of dragging their feet. And so that probably won't happen before spring again. So we'll
Well,
see. I'm assuming.
yeah, well,
that's
just
what I gather.
kind of a little addition to that is we're actually looking at contacting another company to see if they can come in and if their bids would be reasonably close. And okay, go ahead, Matt.
So we actually talked to that other company and they also said that even if they were to come in and bid it right now, they wouldn't do the work till next year.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of in the same boat regardless of which vendor you use. And it's because of the cooler temperatures. When you get into the cooler temperatures, it doesn't work for the type of product that they use.
So if somebody needs a summer job, it sounds like pickleball court repair would be a good thing to go into. Seems to be a shortage of companies to be able to get it done. So okay. Anything else? All right, Councilmember Reeser.
Yeah, with the Cultural Arts Committee, we haven't met, nor with the Legacy Flight Museum. An update with the police proposal for the new police facility. I just hope that the citizens are getting good information from the website that the city has and from the app so that they can make their decision, because November's coming right up and we'll need the decision from the voters on which way that's going to go. So
Okay, thank you.
hope they're looking into it.
Yes. Yeah, just for your information, well, let's see. Actually, we do have that on the agenda here in our next thing, so we'll talk about that a little bit more. Thank you, council members. We appreciate that and appreciate all your efforts on these different committees and boards. All right, let's go ahead and move to number 8A, which is the finance report with our CFO, Mr. Matt Nielsen.
So just couple quick updates on the investment one. So keep in mind, this report's through August, but I've always kind of told you that we really use a lot of cash in the fall. And so that's a time that we have to kind of have cash available. But you can see at the end of August, we had about 52 million in total cash and investments. But just to give you kind of an idea, the 2 check runs and 2 payroll runs in this month were over $6 million. And so it's just, it's just something that we have to keep track of, is how much cash that we have to move in at all times. And then a couple things, I've been telling you this, what we're trying to do is, as opportunities come up for reinvestment, we're really trying to build up the 2 to probably about 4-year ladder as much as we can, because we really do foresee rates continuing to drop over the next few years. So we want to lock it in as long as we can. Some of the challenges with that is, as you look at where that reserve is, water and sewer are the 2 biggies that have a lot of capital improvement projects coming up. So it's pretty difficult for us to lock it in too long. And so just so you guys know, that Scott and I, we continually look at that. We look at the cash flow needs. We look at the timing of those capital projects. But anyways, that's the report for the cash and investment. Unless there's questions, I'll jump into the other report. Okay, and then the other report.
Matt, just sorry to interrupt, but just for clarification for everybody in the room, if you're not familiar with that seems like a ton of money that we've got squirreled away, and some of you might say, well, why don't you use some of that $52 million for that historical building that we were just talking about? But you have to realize that a lot of, like Matt said, a lot of that money is in dedicated funds for the wastewater treatment plant and facilities and water facilities, and those monies can only be spent on those types of things by state law. And so anytime we go to do a wastewater, or in other words, a sewer treatment plant, those upgrades can run $10-15 million just out the door, just like that. So that's why we work to build up these kind of reserves, so that we can take care of those things without having to come to you to say, hey, we need you to pass a bond so that we can do a wastewater treatment plant upgrade. We would rather save the money over time and have the money in place to be able to do it. So appreciate Matt and his staff for working hard to do that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and it's not like we just have the money sitting there. We're strategizing. We're trying to invest it to build it so it grows faster, so that we have to ask for less, right? If we do have to bond or borrow.
Yeah, and just from investing the money in the last 3 or 4 years, we've probably gained a couple of $1 million.
Oh yeah,
I think, or more.
In the millions.
Yeah. So appreciate the work that you do on that and trying to make it grow as much as we can while we've got it sitting there.
Yeah. Okay. So this report, the treasurer's report, really this report is through 11 of the 12 months of the fiscal year. So if you look at the spent column, you can see that it should be around 92%, basically. So as I kind of went through that with Scott, the ones that stood out the most were, we looked at emergency services. They're sitting at about 96%. That one really is a pretty operational fund, not a ton of capital this year in there. And so we went ahead and forecasted that. And I do think they're going to end up several $100,000 over budget by the end of the fiscal year. So it's something that gets split, not just by the city. It gets paid by the 3 entities between the fire district, the ambulance district, and the city. And then sanitation's another one that kind of pops up, the 108. That one is simply because of that shop. So that shop that we are building ended up being a little bit over the budget by the time we got to it, and just the timing of when we were finally able to build it. But the cash is there, so we're good there. The cash was in place for that project. And then some of the others, the paramedic care wildland, you can see that one's kind of high, but that has an offsetting revenue. And so it's okay to be high because they bring that much and a little more in revenue in to cover it. And then as you flip it to the back page, golf course is another one. We're sitting at about 105% on spent, but we are also way up on our revenues to cover that expense. And so, yeah, the golf course really, it's another record year in terms of the revenues that we brought in. But you have to look at the bottom line, right? Although the revenues went up, so have the expenses, and I think we ended up spending 330,000 in capital, as it show here. I don't know or 406 in capital. So yeah, it was a huge year for capital. And then fiber is the other one that kind of pops up, that 153%. That one, what's happened there? We should be in good shape. We've been working with the state. I don't know if Todd's in here, but poor Todd and Noah, Keith and I have been involved trying to collect the $433,000 that they had said they would put into the project. We're probably about 90% through trying to get that collected, but it's looking good. So we should be fine on that. But it's been a process.
Hey, Matt, just let me interrupt you one quick second, just for students and those who might not be familiar with some of the terms we use. Explain what a capital expense is, would you please?
Yeah, so when we look at expenses, if you go out and you buy something that you can depreciate over time, so we look at it, anything over $5,000, we'll capitalize it, and we call that a capital expense. And then we'll depreciate it over whatever, like a vehicle might be 10 years or something, a building much longer, right? So that's a capital expense. And then as we go through it, you can see personnel expense. That one's pretty obvious. That's going to be wages, benefits, everything associated with hiring and paying for people to do the service. And then operations kind of falls. It's just really what they need to do that. So whether that's supplies, fuel, etc. And so, yeah, and then transfer expense, I won't get into that one. That's a governmental thing that it's basically moving money from one fund to another fund. But hopefully you'll have a course on governmental accounting. You can learn all about that.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's all I got on that, unless you guys have questions.
Any questions for Matt on any of this? Yes, Councilmember Erickson.
Wildland. Paramedic care wildland.
Yeah.
Is that going to be covered? Or we just waiting for money?
Yeah, it will be covered. Yeah. Yeah. And that one, what happens is you go out and then you bill in arrears. And so it's typical to wait several months before you see that revenue. Yeah.
We have quite a few call-outs to wildland this year.
Yeah, they were pretty busy. I don't know that it's been as busy since the big rain that we had. Well, I shouldn't say big rain, but the rain that we had maybe 4 weeks ago. But yeah, I think they had a pretty busy year. So the last few have been busy. Okay. So if there's no questions on that, I'll jump into the police. Let's hit let's see, just hit the mailer first. So what we're looking for tonight from the city council, one of the things that we had planned on doing is sending a mailer essentially to every address within the city limits of Rexburg, so that they would have the information and know where to go get the information about the bond. One thing that we are finding out, we're working with a vendor here in town who's been great. They're giving us a discount on the printing of them. But what you do is you have to use the federal system to select who they go to. And you can do it by zip code. And that's problematic for us because a lot of zip codes that are 83440 actually don't live in the city limits. And then the other thing you can do is you can do it by route. And so that's also a little problematic because one example is like Evergreen subdivision where the mayor lives. When I pick that route, it adds probably about, I can't remember, I think it was probably 300 to 400 additional homes that are not in the city limits. And so it's kind of hard. So what may happen is you may get a few people that get this mailer that don't actually live in the city. And so what we did is we added this bottom line tonight that just says bond election applies to Rexburg City residents only. And that will just be, and that's been pretty common. I've had quite a few people call me or talk to me about it. And I'm like, well, where do you live? And they're like, well, I actually don't live in the city, they say. Like, well, you actually won't vote on this bond then, right? If you don't live in the city. So, but anyways, this is what we're thinking we would send out. Just wanted to get kind of your blessing tonight. And then our hope is to get this out by the end of the month, because there are a couple dates on it. We want to do a town hall Q&A on 10/15. And so that would be, we did one of those earlier. This would probably be, I would say, a little more robust, because now they can come with some of the layouts of the site plan. So we would have our consultants here to talk about it, answer questions. And then on 10/28, we would do another police station open house. And I would say on those, that we've done a few of them. They have definitely got busier as we've done them. The first one, there wasn't a lot of people. So we saw a pretty significant increase in people that came through. And so we just want to keep doing that so that people have an opportunity to ask questions and know where to get the information.
Okay, yes, comments.
Spencer's looked at the language on this, right?
Yeah.
I reviewed it with Matt today.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's all I had.
Yeah, and we, right there where it says bond purpose, anything that we put out, we have to put this disclosure. So it's essentially the terms, right? The estimated terms. So it's the 16.75 million for the bond. We talk about the interest and then the total with the interest and principal, 15-year term. We have to estimate the percentage of interest that would be charged. And then we have to also state how much per 100,000 of assessed value that would cost. And so, and really, if you guys haven't had a chance, the tax calculator works, it's pretty slick. So if you haven't had a chance, jump in there. People can really dial in if they know how much their assessed value is, they can really dial it in. And it has a link that shows them how to get into the GIS system. So if they need to look it up, they can. So,
Mayor, just for
Yes,
for
go
the
ahead.
council's information, we looked through this with the steering committee this week and kind of went through this whole mailer out and kind of gave us suggestions and really liked to do this. And I think it'd be a good idea as we go through this.
yeah, and I think cost wise on the mailer, when he sent me the first proposal to all of 83440, I think it was just over $6,000. And by narrowing it down to the routes, we dropped, I think it was what was it, like not even 2,000, I think. And so I think that I'm guessing that we're going to probably be in that $400 to $5,400 range, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments about this from council members? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that information. And we
Okay, and
will
then-
keep moving forward.
Yeah, I got one more. Deborah, let's just go, I'm not going to go through all this. Just go to maybe the site context
Okay,
real quick. So this little brochure is going to be on the website. So once we send out these mailers and they get on the website, they can read through all the details here. But this is where we landed on the site. So that's the map, just kind of shows the overall placement in the city, and then a zoomed in view over on Pioneer Road next to US 20. And then on the next page, this is probably the most recent thing that the consultants have developed. So this really kind of gives you a conceptual layout, if you will, of where that building could sit. And so anyways, this is through our planning process and trying to figure out how much square footage per department, et cetera, et cetera. And then as you look at it on the building part, you can see the dark grays. Those are what we call the gray shell space. And those are explained in the bottom, talks about the gray shell. So remember, we're going to build the shell to a 20-year need, but then our hope is that impact fees would pay for finishing that space out over the next 5 to 20 years. So essentially new growth pays for that, right? And so I think that this is a pretty good page. Hopefully people will jump on and see that. Some of the other things that I think are good about it is we pushed the building to the north to get it closer to the storage units and farther away from the apartments. But anyways, it kind of gives you an idea, and it shows you that they still have some undeveloped portions in the back that could be for future growth. So any questions on that, or any suggested changes you want on that document?
I like having the unfinished space so that it gives us room to grow. Hopefully it would last us for a lot more than 20 years, especially with the extra space in the building to develop and the extra space on the ground that they could expand into in 30 or 40 years from now when they need some more expansion. So okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you.
I do have.
Yes,
also just a couple.
Councilmember Erickson.
I do like the plan for the future and looking at this, like you said, I echo that statement of looking for the future of the police department. I also want to emphasize the community room. That's something that I think a lot of people are missing here. It's a community room that they'll be able to rent out and be able to use for different community meetings, which is very needed in this area. I know the library is used and about booked out completely, and a lot of the school district facilities are used for that same thing. That this will be another avenue to be able to use a community room throughout when they're not using it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Yeah.
And I, Colin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that it's designed to up to 100 is kind of the number there.
Yeah,
So.
and this is the one thing we seen down at Idle Falls. They use it quite. I mean, they can block out the rest of the police department, and they can use it throughout the evening, and have a lot of different things.
But
in
a
there.
community events there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. All right, thank you, Matt. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. All right,
I probably should report, if you
Okay.
haven't heard, we did get a new payroll clerk. We hired a new payroll clerk, Brandy Davis, that already worked for us. So just so you know, she's the newest hire in finance as our payroll clerk.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We will go ahead and move to item number 8B, which is our Public Works report with our Public Works Director, Mr. Keith Davidson. Item number 1 is a bid approval for the Riverside Lift Station and Gravity Sewer. Tell us about that, Keith.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So we received bids. We've been working. Our low bidder was Edstrom Construction on that. They're also the ones that were our low bidder on putting that gravity line going up to Sugar City. And so we've been in talks with them to see if there's different ways in which we can kind of lower some of the costs, if there's some cost savings we could achieve. One of the ones that we've been looking at is the odor control unit. There might be one that's very similar. That would be maybe a savings of like $55,000 on that. So we'll be working with them to see if there's some areas where we can save some costs. But what we'd like to do is to award Edstrom Construction the bid, and we'll move forward with them on that lift station over at Riverside Park.
Yeah, it's a little higher than the estimate, isn't it? Quite a bit higher, but
Into that all the time. It's
Yeah, things are definitely higher. A lot of times when we look at those estimates, and so we're seeing just an escalation in cost.
this goes back to what we talked about earlier. All that money that we save, and here goes $2.5 million out the door just like that.
Yep.
So, but it is good in one way. It's good that you see how close those two bids are. There's only $2,000 difference on a $2.5 million bid. That's good, because that means that the bidding is pretty solid. So you always like to see the winning bid be fairly close, or the bids in general be kind of close, so that you know that you're not getting a lot of either somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, or somebody that's just bidding it because they're bidding it really high because they're super busy or something. So anyway, unless there's any questions about this item, I would entertain a motion to approve this bid.
Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve this bid to the Riverside Lift Station to Edstrom Construction, $2,432,390.10.
and 10 cents.
I think
All right.
10 cents in there.
Thank you. You gotta have that. That's the profit margin right there. Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Second by Councilmember Reeser. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead and move on to item number 2.
Okay, so the second item I have is the traffic impact study for the GEM Charter School. So we've received that. We've had our discussions with them. So I'm just going to bring it for your information. And so what the traffic impact study does, it looks at existing conditions. They go out, they do traffic counts at the different intersections that we request them to look at. On this one, it was looking at the intersection of Highway 33 or Main Street and 12th West, as well as 1000 South or 7th South and 12th West. And so the existing conditions, as you look at it, we measure it in levels of service. That's what LOS stands for. And so you have, in each of those, as we go down, are just longer delays. So you have level of service A, B, C, D, E, and F. F is basically when you're looking at gridlock. We try and keep them as much as we can when they come in at a level of service C or higher. So we'll go to the next one. So if you look, then they'll look and say, okay, by 2030, what does the background growth look like without the school there? What level of service does that take it to? And so as you look at that, you can see down at the intersection of 1000 South and 12th West, we start looking at level of service Ds at the different movements. And so that's just what the background growth. And then if we go to the next slide, and then we put in the background growth plus the school. And so when you look at that, you can start seeing those same ones go to E and D down at 1000 South and 7 South, but then we also start seeing Ds up at 33 and 12th West there. And so we'll go to the next slide. And so the TIS, then they give us the recommendations to take those back to a level of service C. And so for the first one, 12th West and Main Street, Highway 33, would be widening the northbound lane to give an additional lane on 12th West to make that right turn. The estimated construction cost on that is about $305,000. And then we look at what would be the school's share or their percentage of traffic on that. And so it's about 13%. So that'd be about a $40,000 charge that we would put in their development agreement. So they would pay that in their development agreement, and then we'd look to doing those improvements at the intersection. The next page. So this is the ones for the 7th South or 1000 South where the Burton Elementary School is. And that would be just widening and adding a lane on either side just for a short distance to handle and help with the traffic movement at that intersection. And that would also would move it to a level service C on that. And then the cost was about $170,000, with 16% would be from the school at $28,000, basically. Any questions on that traffic impact study?
Yeah, I got a question real quick, and that's, did the state say they were already looking at that intersection, Mother Hibbert's, the co-op?
No, we had talked with the state. In fact, I just met with the state yesterday on that intersection, because there's more than just what this traffic impact study is recommending that I would like to see happen there. With that growth, Trappers Landing, so that's the development to the west there. What I would like to see would be that right turn lane go in and then having 2 lanes heading eastbound. And that would necessitate reconfiguration of that signal. So that would be a significant additional cost with that. I met with the state yesterday on that. They're looking at what resources they might have as we look to maybe share in that cost of that signal. They're going to be getting back with me on it, but that's something that I would like to see happen at that that intersection. There's a lot that has to go into that, but I'd love to get those signals in our long-term plan placement. So then that way, as growth occurs, we won't have to relocate those signals.
So what's happening with that signal now that's on the southwest corner where the construction is going on, where they're putting in that landscaping around that medical building? Is that going to stay kind of out there in the road-ish?
No, so the idea, and that's what also another reason we met with them out there on there, is what can we do with those? So those boxes that are sitting out there are for the traffic signal. That's kind of where they run the wiring through. And so we had a conversation with Nelson Electric, and if they were to move those boxes behind the curb, it's about a $50,000 price tag to do that. And we're looking at wanting to relocate those signals. So I'd hate to spend that kind of money just to do a temporary fix on that. And so I had a conversation with them to see if we could just lower the boxes, pave around them for now, knowing that, we're looking at a reconfiguration of that signal. So they're going to take a look at that and see what options they would allow for that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you for that info, Keith.
Mhm.
I was just wondering if we could have more information in the future, such as this, before we vote on things like the CUP, because when we voted on it, I asked about that intersection and all I got was that city staff had driven it and it was okay. But we can see that it's much more involved than what we were given when we voted on it. And if I'm understanding it right, I had to have someone help me with those graphs.
Mhm.
But so that school for the 12th West and Main Street, 50%, it's going to increase the delay time by 50% by 2030. And so that's significant. I feel like we should have had that information before we voted on it. So moving forward, can we change so that we have more information before we vote on things like this?
So it would be challenging in the sense that these traffic impact studies come at a fairly high cost. A lot of times they're like $20,000. And so that would be a significant outlay for a project.
But I mean,
Hope
this
that
one,
they
we
could-
knew we were doing the traffic study. So if we're doing the traffic study.
No, it was required for them as part of their project, right?
That's what I'm
So if they
saying.
didn't get the CUP, then they wouldn't do a traffic impact study there. So that's what I'm saying. It's when you look at that initial cost,
Uh-huh.
right? It's a pretty significant barrier to come in and say, okay, what are the chances I'm gonna be able to get a CUP, right? I outlay $20,000 and then that poof, right? The council turns me down on that. So
But
that's.
it was my understanding when I spoke after the meeting that night, I was told that the traffic study it had started and you were waiting for the results. So they had already started the traffic study before we voted. That's what I was told that night.
I'd have to double check that if they had, but
Yeah, I'm
they
pretty
did
sure
outlay that.
that's
We
what
have a
happened.
pretty good
Yeah.
chance.
So I
of
just
that.
hope we could have the information because I feel like we can't vote accurately if we don't have this kind of information. I spoke to Spencer about it. He said he felt like, we could change things so that council was more informed. Because I think residents who come to the public hearings should be able to hear this kind of information too on projects that are going to impact their community. And then I have one other question. So I didn't see Summerfield Lane on there. Is that not, so where Summerfield Lane, has the stop sign there on 12th West, it already, this is just anecdotal, but it already backs up quite a bit. So what are your thoughts on Summerfield Lane, what that will be like trying to turn left onto there?
So we just have to take a look at it. Like that would just be something that we'll look at, especially as Summerfield develops more and more out there.
They turn left onto Summerfield Lane?
Turn left on the 12th.
Oh, onto
Yeah, coming off of Summerfield Lane.
Summerfield.
Because
Okay.
it's already hard when you're trying to do it when schools are,
Yeah,
people are
certain
going to school.
times
So
of
I
day
think that's might be a problem.
don't always dictate that if it's like a kind of a certain time of day versus, because what you look at is there's a series of warrants. When you start looking at, do I put in a four-way stop at that location in order to get traffic out? But we would just go through those series of warrants and see what was needed on
Okay.
that for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And one of the other things, this is coming up a little bit later here too, but one of the other things, of course, that will help some of those situations are getting the underpasses over the highway in these other spots So, and we've got a little video we're going to show you that hopefully will help us get some more traction on that idea here, but we'll finish up with this first here. Are you pretty much done with your information there, Keith?
Yeah, on that traffic impact study. So I've got other
Okay.
items.
Okay. Is there
Unless there's
any
other
other
questions.
questions or comments on that before we move on? Okay, if none, then let's go ahead with item number 3.
Yeah, so the item number 3 is just we have a bunch of iPads that are older, that are no longer in use that we're just wanting to surplus.
Okay. All right. Then I would entertain a motion that we, let's see, are you still showing us more information or just this stuff here? Okay. Just some,
It's whatever you get. This is what we think that they're worth.
okay. All right, then I would entertain a motion at this time that we surplus these listed items on the agenda here. Is there such a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the surplus list.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Eric Erickson. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We'll go ahead and let's see, is that everything
more.
for you? Keith, one more. Okay, item number
Actually,
4.
2 more. I want to bring up another thing.
All right.
So the second one is council requested estimated costs. This was over on Wilcox to look at the sidewalk improvements, what those would cost. Based on this current LID, we're looking at a little over $24,000 for that section for Wilcox. So basically going from here over to this location, and then the city would be another probably close to 14,000 to finish out this section and get over the railroad tracks with that. And that would just be putting asphalt kind of down in the railroad area. And then at some future date, if we were to come back in and do it with the actual concrete planking like they do, that comes at a pretty significant cost. But we could look at that at a future date. But anyways, those are the estimated costs based on this current year's LID.
You know, what kind of, like, I don't know what that would be for a pedestrian, because it's not like you're gonna push a button and stop a train.
No,
So is it kind of like, you gotta look and go and there's no
yeah,
train?
yeah, you gotta look and go. I mean, obviously they're gonna have the gates come down, the red lights are going at that location, but definitely the pedestrian, because there's not a gate that comes down on the crosswalk side.
Okay, but where it's right next to the thing, a gate won't literally come down, but they'll be
Yeah,
able to see what's.
I mean, you can see on the north side, that was extended out.
Okay, that's. a
Right,
good
where they
visual
come
right
across.
there. Okay,
So we need to do something on this side to try and get them across through there.
thank you.
A comment?
So Keith, on this, if I understand it right, Wilcox is not interested in putting this in right now, so it'd be.
Yeah, that's correct.
It'd be us as a city putting it in and clawing that back eventually, hopefully, or.
Well, I
just
mean, there's
see-
different ways you could go about doing it, right? You could put it on the LID and just say, you know, we feel like now's the time to put in the sidewalk. So you could do that. Another option would be to get a clawback later, and pay for it out of city funds and then just claw it back when the time comes.
Who knows?
A lot of times,
That might be a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times you look at undeveloped areas when they come in to develop it and they bring in all the heavy equipment and machinery. Sometimes they break up the sidewalk. But on this side, probably not as much as if it was running down Golden Beauty Drive on that.
And I can understand the concern from citizens here because, and people that come in the community that stay in those hotels, because they walk up to go to Applebee's. If they walk on the sidewalk and go up to get across on University there over to Applebee's, that's like taking your life into your own hands trying to
Yeah.
cross there. So I can understand the concern of safety. I don't know how to do this and fork out all that money on the city's burden to do that, but I definitely know there's a safety concern there as we cross.
Yeah, they say that there's a trail that gets beaten sometimes through here that they see where people cut through here.
That'd probably be safer
Because
than
it's, you know, just run across the road here and then cut across through their
Yeah.
property is what the Wilcox guys were telling me.
Thank you for that information. That was
Yeah.
good information to have, but there is definitely a safety area there,
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah, that's something that we'll need to take a look at, what might be the best way to go about that. But yeah, thank you for that information.
Okay, one more item, Mayor, if
Okay.
you wouldn't mind. Just to bring the council's attention, right now, we currently have 2 wells that are down
Oh, yeah.
for us. We have well 1 that we've been working with to get that put back, and it's been a slow process with the contractor. Well 5 just went down not that long ago. So we pulled it to find out, and the shafts were broken on it, and there's spider bearings in the column. And so we need to replace that as quickly as possible, because well 9 is now, because we're running it longer periods of time to try and keep up with the water demand. And so we're going to need to move on that quicker with that. We did get American Pump is the one we had come in and pull the pump for us, and they can jump on it probably the fastest with coming in. I think they could have the parts here by maybe next Friday, so not this upcoming one, but the following one, and then get on it on Monday. And I think it was about an $85,000 price tag on that one.
So you're saying that all high school students shouldn't take any showers for 2 weeks? You're saying, is that okay?
Say those.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeser is opposed to that. Okay.
Last one was quite small.
Well, our water wells are very important to the whole community, and so I think the fact that they can get on that fairly quickly. We were debating on whether we needed to put it out for 3 bids, but since state law says that if it's under $100,000, that we can go ahead and just move forward with the bid that we have, which did you say it was about 84,000?
Yeah, like 85,000.
$85,000. So I think with your permission, we'll go ahead and tell them to get the parts ordered and get it going, because none of us want to be out of water. So is that okay? All right. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
We'll go ahead and go that way. All right, let's move on to item number 9, which is the mayor's report. It's been busy, lots of stuff going on. Let's see, we do have a couple of things coming up that I'll mention. We have the Chamber of Commerce actually, of course, runs this show, but it's called Experience Rexburg. That's coming up this Saturday from 10 to 3 in Porter Park. And that is, it's geared towards the businesses in town, basically having booths and showing off what they can do. A lot of it is geared towards college students, but they also love to see a lot of locals come and visit with them as well. And they do a lot of giveaways and different things like that. So it's kind of a fun event. And if you want to become more familiar with the services that are offered here in Rexburg through our businesses, that's a great place to find out. We met with, speaking of the chamber, we met with Diane Bruce, who is the Chamber of Commerce executive director right now, and she is working on she has lined up 2 ladies who want to head up the 4th of July parade, so that we've got like a committee that does it instead of the chamber being in charge of it. The chamber and the city will still have certain responsibilities that we will do and that we will help them with, but they are actually going to take kind of sort of like the way St. Anthony does their parade. It'll be headed up by a committee of people that hopefully will be able to keep doing it from year to year to year. And so we feel like that'll take a little bit of the pressure off of the Chamber of Commerce so that they can focus a little bit more on their mission of serving the businesses and helping the businesses out. So anyway, that's something that's happening. In case you hear anything about that, you'll kind of know.
Mayor, did
Yes,
you say
question?
they're putting the committee together, the chamber?
Yeah.
Or- yeah.
They've already got, it's actually 2 ladies that do like these craft shows. They do a big craft show in the wintertime. And so they're pretty experienced in putting things together. And they seem pretty excited about it. And so they're the ones that are going to be heading it up. And hopefully they'll be successful and enjoy it and want to do it for many years to come. That's the hope. But the chamber has committed that if it doesn't work out with them, that they will take it back over. They asked me if the city wanted to take it over, and I said no, no, thank you. we're maxed out with things to do as it is. So, also we have Oktoberfest coming up, which is our harvest celebration to celebrate the great potato, and that'll be coming up on October 11th. That's a Saturday, and it generally runs from 3 to 7. No, what time is it? 4 to 8?
4 to 7.
4 to 7. Okay. Okay. Well, that's what I was.
Website.
Yeah. Watch for that on the website. But I think it's about 4 o'clock till 7 or 8 o'clock or something like that, until it gets too cold for people. But it's been a lot of fun in the past. They've had a lot of music and dancing and booths, and it's really a fun little celebration. So watch the video for that. Okay. Now the next thing is we have this video. We had several of us on the staff have been participating with a group called Connecting Communities, and we actually went back to Washington, D.C. and went to a kind of like a seminar that they had, and this is talking about helping to reconnect your communities. And I'm actually going to be going to another kind of a similar thing with this group in California next week. But this group actually approached us because of our involvement with them and said, hey, we would like to help you with your problem, which is what we've been talking about, getting across Highway 20 and the gridlock that we're experiencing as we grow. And so they said, hey, we'd like to put together a video for you to be able to use to show people, whether it be a government granting agency or private granting, or just help to be able to help to explain what our problem is. And so they came and did this video for us at no cost. And so this is kind of the product that they came up with. So we'd like to just show that to you at this time. Maybe.
Thinking.
Is that gonna work?
It's getting there.
Oh, you're almost there? Okay. There we go. Oh, no sound.
You turn it on, don't you? You need to redirect it, yeah. Hang on, we gotta rearrange it from our sound system to. I can hear it, I think. You can hear it?
Very new systems.
Technology is always great until it doesn't work, right?
I'm sure it's probably in June because it was from the internet, so. I don't know where your speakers are.
Virtual sound card.
It's like really, really quiet.
Don't- Well, I would try to narrate it for you, but I don't remember all of the things that
It's
well.
playing, but it's super quiet. Hang on just a second. Crank this one. Yeah, I got it.
If it does come on, it's going to blow our ears out.
It's playing.
That's all on this little speaker on this.
Maybe.
Sidewalk and then there's only ways across. So I think for safety, there are so many reasons that we have more connections are.
It's become a challenge to get across the other side of the community to respond to emergency situation where, frankly, minutes count. We had a medical call where we responded to a drowning. Actually, there's no way for emergency responders to navigate through traffic. So as we were responding, traffic was gridlocked. So we just had to turn off our lights and just wait because there was nowhere else to go. There was no other access for us. For emergency responders, for families, for passengers, crews, whomever, to be able to access both sides of our city is critical. As the city keeps growing, as the traffic increases, it has prevented emergency services to get through those interchanges in a timely manner. The number one thing I think about on a daily basis is the safety of our students and the safety of the community. And by allowing that to open up and have more opportunities to connect east to west would definitely help prevent any accidents that may happen, the safety of students as well as community members. We really are hoping to be able to reconnect by having more overpasses over Highway 20 and people being able to get back and forth faster. City leaders are working to reconnect 3 east-west routes, 7 south. These corridors continue to create that strengthen the city's social and economic fabric. And Rexburg means closer relationships with people in all parts of the city. This is more than infrastructure. It's about people. It's about connecting Rexburg, ensuring safe routes for children, faster commutes for workers, and stronger connections for every resident. It's about building a community where east and west are no longer divided, but linked. To have some money to actually design and study out what are our best options, what's the quickest solution, what's the most economical way for us to fix that. Their visionary vision, what we need is for those professionals, engineers, architects, whatever it might be, to get that vision as well. Rexburg is planning today for a more connected tomorrow. Together with partners, planners, and the people who call this city home, we are moving forward. Because a connected community is a thriving community. Highway 20 split families. Highway 20 split close friends. It's time to bring it back together.
But as you can see, it really just is a documentary of what our problem is and what we need to help solve it. And it's really a nice video, I think, pretty well done because it has city officials, county officials, police and fire and school. So it comes from a lot of different directions, as far as who the people that are concerned about this issue. And so we're hoping that with the help of that video to be able to get our message across, that we'll be able to, as you saw on the trailer there, the very last slide, it talked about we had a $2 million grant to be able to do engineering and planning and all of the things that we needed to have, consulting that we needed to have to get these overpasses or underpasses done and ready to go. But then that grant got not really canceled, but put on hold for right now. And so we're hoping that will get reinstated and hopefully this can help us get that done. So anyway, that's what that was all about. And it was really well done. You just couldn't hear it very well. So sorry about that. But we probably, can we put that on the website? Yeah, we could put it on the website and you could go on there and watch it and listen to it and be able to appreciate it a little bit more. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. That is the end of my report. Let's go ahead and move forward with item number.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just got one question. It was brought up last time in our city council when you was out of town. Just kind of a report back on our LID committee. Are we getting that together? I'd be like to hear from that committee eventually on their suggestions on how to deal with the LIDs in the future. So where are we at with that? And are we continue to move forward? I know I asked 4 to 5 and 2 said yes, and then they called me back and said no. So I just wonder if we continue to move on that, because I'd really like to have a committee put together to research that out and see what they could suggest to us
Yeah.
on those LIDs.
Yeah, we haven't we haven't really had, we've kind of put the word out there that if anybody's interested in helping us on that, but we haven't had a lot of people say they're interested unless you know of people.
Talked to us too today. Claire Hughes and I forgot her name.
Other one.
No, the other one. I think they
I-
could find more too.
You think they could find more?
Out there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I gave those 2 names that Brian had just mentioned. I think I gave those to you. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Of volunteers, I can just put the LID committee, I mean, it does exist. And I hate to do that because, any committees that we have to have ordinance that regulates them. And until we actually have that place, I mean, I'll probably put temporary, I don't know. I don't like to put it on the official form unless it's an actual committee that's legal and approved. So, but I can put something together so we capture their electronic, their name and information. We'll have it because we keep writing them on pieces of paper and then know where those papers go to. So I can have that for you.
Well, yeah, let's do that. Let's actually put that on something that's a little bit more official and see if we can move forward with that, because time's a waste, and then we need to try to put it together and do some.
That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd
Yeah.
be really good. So
Yeah.
we can just refer it to them, because I ask them and say, come talk to the mayor, and then sometimes that gets lost, or they come back to me and says, I don't have time now, and so
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah, I've not had any of them approach me about it, but if you've had a couple, and so I think we've got a few here and there that are interested, and we just need to be able to put them all together. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's see. Item number 10, we have no items for consideration. Number 11, calendared bills. We do have a second reading, which is ordinance number 10 or number 1337, which is the amendment to the current development code, which is ordinance number 1200 for the city of Rexburg. And we passed that last time. Is there any questions or comments about that item before we move forward? If there is none, I would entertain a motion to consider ordinance 1337 second read.
Mr. Mayor, I so move that we consider ordinance number 1337 second read.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Johnson. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. We'll consider that second read and move it to the third reading calendar. Item number 12 is the consent calendar, which is the minutes from the September 3rd, 2025 meeting, the approval of the payment of the City of Rexburg bills, and the approval of the 2025-2026 alcohol licenses. Are there any questions or comments about those items before we move forward?
Just a question, have there been any new applications for the alcohol licenses?
These are all renewals? Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Mayor, I'll make that motion for the consent calendar.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Erickson. And is there a second?
Second.
second by Councilmember Eric Erickson. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead with those items. All right, item 13 is we need to move into executive session as per Idaho Code 74-2061F to communicate with legal counsel for the public agency to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated. To move into executive session, we need a motion and a second with a roll call vote. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Right. Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Council President Walker. Mary, would you do a roll call vote for that, please?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Colin Erickson,
Yes.
Councilmember Eric Erickson,
Yes.
Councilmember Reeser,
Yes.
Council President Walker.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. We will move into executive session, which means we do have to ask the room to be vacated. And we will move into executive session, after which we will come out of executive session. So you're welcome to stay if you'd like to for that, but all that is on the agenda is to adjourn, so it won't be all that exciting. But thank you all for being here. We appreciate your time and attendance. All right, and we will. All right, let's move. Yeah, let's
Come to
move.
the front.
Yeah, let's up to the front conference.
So I'm getting like Tuesday or Thursday.
Is that?
For the tour, it needs an agenda. You know, it'd be like to drive around. I need to have an agenda, I'm sorry.
Run a quorum, I gotta have an agenda.
The crowd goes.
Either one of those days works fine for me. I don't have a preference. Is it the 23rd?
I have a text where
This month? Yeah, next week. Tuesday or-
So. It looks like. That's to Robert.
Do it Thursday morning. Has it the $20,000 price tag?
But I mean, so the Allen Hill Road, I went and drove it and it's fine. And look, it's not fine.